Good morning, developers. If you are new to the channel, my name is Rob, and it is Algorithm Monday. Code challenges and algorithms I have found are the best way to improve at the fundamentals. Doing layups, batting practice, and those are the things that will future-proof you. Those are the things that will keep you relevant no matter what happens, no matter what the job market is, or what happens in programming. And today we are going to look at selection sort. This is the third algorithm, or the sorting algorithm that we have done. We've done BubbleSort and insertion sort, and I would say this is an improvement over those. You'll see why. We'll come back to that. But it does have a big O of n squared, which is not good. You probably are never gonna use this. The good ones, merge sort, heap sort, quick sort, those are the ones that you'd fall back on. And the truth is, of course, you're always going to end up using probably the built-in sorting algorithm because it has advantages over anything we can do. But these are so great to think through how computers store data, how long something takes, how do we optimize as we compare all of them. So those other two, which also have a big O of n squared, I'll put those in the description if you want to watch those as well as the playlist. But we'll come back to its advantages. Let's talk through how it works. And it's my favorite one to teach because this is exactly how you would do it. At least it's how I would do it as a human. If you just said, here, you've got a list of numbers, sort them. So the way that it works is we only ever swap one element through the list. So it's very efficient because swapping elements is very expensive. We go all the way through the first time and we find the smallest element and we swap that with wherever we are at. So the first time through, we start here on the number 2. We look to see, is anything smaller than that? And if something is, then we pick that as the smallest one. Well, it happens that 1 is the only thing smaller. So we swap these two. We go 1, 9, 6, 4, 2 will be our list after that first iteration. The second iteration, because we know that this one is in the right place, we don't need to do anything. Is anything smaller than 9? Well, this is, so we're not going to swap them yet. We just know that 6 is smaller than 9, so we don't care about that anymore. What about 4? Is 4 smaller than 6? It is, so we don't care about that. What about 2? It is, so we have found the smallest number in this entire list. We haven't swapped anything yet, but we know that 2 is the smallest number after the number 1. So we're going to swap these two, which means we are left with 1, 2, 6, 4, and 9. We'll go through it again. We know that these two are in the right place. So 6, that is our smallest number right now. Check it against 4. It is smaller, so now we are on the number 4. Is 9 smaller? It's not, which means we're going to swap these two. So we're left with 1, 2, 4, 6, and 9. We can guarantee that these three numbers are in the correct order. Now, this is a drawback of selection sort, and we'll come back to this, but the list is in order right now, and it wouldn't matter because we'd have to go back through anyway, but we do not have a best case of better than n squared. It's always gonna be n squared because we don't know. So we check 6 and 9. We don't have to swap them, which means 6 is already in the right place, so we're left with 1, 2, 4, 6, and 9. And we don't have to do that last one because everything but that one is in order. And that's selection sort. As I said, if you asked me to sort this list, I would look at it. I would look for the smallest one. I see a 1, and then I see a 2. What have we got left? 9, 6, and 4. I would do 4, then 6, and then 9. So I'm pretty fast as a human, but of course that's only 5 numbers. But it works the same way. Just go through. We don't care what the first number is. We don't care what any of the numbers are other than the smallest one. Use that first number as our initial key or our temporary and look to see if anything's smaller until we have found the smallest one. The reason that as I said, that this is better or in many ways than selection sort and BubbleSort is because with those, if this were BubbleSort, we would compare these two. Is this bigger than this? If it is, then we swap them. Well, it's not, so we keep going. Is this bigger than this? Well, it is. So in BubbleSort, we would swap these two elements. So 6 and 9 would swap. We would then compare 9 and 4. We would swap those again. We would then compare 9 and 1. We would swap those again. Swapping is expensive because we have to create a temporary variable, some form or another. We have to access stuff in memory, reassign stuff, etc. And we've done 3 swaps to get just through the first time through the list to get that 9 in the right spot. With selection sort, we don't have to swap anything except for that smallest number with wherever it needs to go. As I said, the best case is going to be n squared because we have to go through the loop all the way through. So for instance, if we had the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4, 1 is our starting key, but we don't really care what it is. We just need to find the smallest one. So smaller, no, smaller, no, smaller, no. So 1 is in the right spot. So we're in exactly the same spot. We know this is in the right spot, but we don't know if those are. We have to keep looping. So the same thing happens where 2 against 3 against 4, they're in the same order. And then the last one would work the same way. So you have to go all the way through the loop n squared in selection sort, even if the list is in perfect order. But it is guaranteed to take n squared. No matter what happens, predictability is nice. And because we only have one swap per iteration, it can be more efficient. Let's code it out in Python quick. I've got VS Code open. You should use whatever code editor you want, of course. But selectionsort.py, hopefully, if you're not a Python person, you'll still be able to follow this because it'll be pretty short. We've got time and random so that we can grab the start and find out how long it took to run. I've got this in part because we're going to run this with 1 million numbers and we'll compare it to bubble and insertion sort. I've defined a function called selection sort, which takes an array and then it will return the sorted array and we print it out. And here on line 9, I'll bring that back in. This is what we had on the board so that if you want to log stuff, you can. We're going to have our outer loop, so it'll be for I in range. We're going to go out to the length of the array. So each iteration, we can guarantee that I elements are sorted. So again, this is always going to be n squared. And something I neglected to mention on the board, it's just kind of a for your information, is that this is a non-stable sort, meaning if you have two numbers that are identical or two elements that are identical, they may not be in the same order relative to each other at the end as they are in the beginning. Usually doesn't matter, but just something to be aware of. We're going to have a variable, we'll call it smallest index, and we're going to set that to I. So initially, I will be 0, and then it will be 1 and 2 and so on. So we're going to assume that's the smallest number until we have to swap. And then we'll have a for j in range. We will go out to I plus 1, and we're going to go out to the length of the array again. So we don't need, so coming down here, if I is 0, we're going to start at I plus 1, which is 1, so we'll compare these two. If we're out here, I is 3, we're going to start on element number 4. So that's what's going on there. We want to see if array j is smaller than array smallest index, then we have found a new smallest. Make a big note here, don't, actually we'll do it in all caps, don't swap, just remember. This is where selection sort shines, as we talked about on the board. We only have to do one swap each time. We just have to remember we have a new smallest index, and that will now be j. Once we are all finished with the loop, we do our swap. So we'll do temp equals array of smallest index, and then we'll overwrite what is at array smallest index with whatever is at array I, and we will overwrite whatever is at array I with whatever is in temp. Now this will work, and I'll go ahead and run our code. Okay, there we go. We have in correct order, but and it takes no time, but we can actually do one better here. It's only a slight optimization, but we want to make sure that each time through, before we swap, that that smallest index does not equal I. And the reason for that, let me indent this, only swap if I wasn't the smallest already. This will save us operations if that number happened to be in the correct spot. It may not make a huge difference depending on how big the data set is, but a small optimization, so this is a nice win. I'm going to copy out our print, so we will just run it, and I'm going to bring in our other array, and we'll see how fast it goes. So over 1 million numbers, it took 1.08 seconds. So that is selection sort, 1 second to sort a list of 1 million numbers. If we try out BubbleSort, run it against our BubbleSort here, and it comes out at 4.5 seconds, so that's significantly worse. Let's try insertion sort, And insertion sort came out at 1.14. That's not quite fair because we're printing off the array. Let's get rid of that and see if it does any better. 1.108. So it is slightly better than insertion sort. It is dramatically better than BubbleSort. Yeah, again, slightly better. The numbers will continue to improve as we do more efficient algorithms, but great job. That's selection sort. Thanks so much for watching. I'll link another sorting video. I will see you next time on Algorithm Monday.